What's up, everybody? It's Chris with chrisbello.com and the Entrepreneur Motivation Podcast. Thanks so much for checking out the show today. Let's jump right in. So, today's episode is going to be talking about something you've probably heard of before. I've heard it misused a few times and misunderstood. Something called the Pareto Principle or the 80-20 Principle or the 80-20 Rule. So, basically, Pareto, I've heard a few different stories. He noticed that 80% of the healthy peas in his garden were produced by 20% of the plants. Similarly, there's another story about Pareto having noticed that 80% of the land was owned by 20% of the population. This comes down to the vital few, the critical few, versus the trivial many. So, what exactly does this mean for you and for me? It means that we should really focus on 20% of the things that actually move the needle in our lives. It's easy to get overwhelmed. There's so many things being thrown our way, so many priorities, deadlines, books that we can read, movies we can watch, TV shows that are coming out. And where do we focus our time? There's endless amounts of information, right? I apply the 80-20 principle more or less to all areas of my life. In any certain area, such as exercise, fitness, health, eating well, even reading books or figuring out what kind of content to watch on YouTube, there's going to be certain content that is better than others. And I personally let other people's reviews help guide me to focus on the best stuff out there. So whenever I'm about to read a book, I make sure to check Amazon and make sure that other people have read it and vetted it. If it's got 4.5 or 5 stars, something around there, I know that it's good because the masses have spoken, and that allows me to cut to the chase and make sure I pick up a good book for my next read. Instead of wasting my time on a book that may only have 2 or 3 stars. The same thing goes for restaurants and for podcasts that I listen to, even for YouTube videos. I've had this hack on a previous episode where I personally filter videos from order of most popular to least popular. And this allows me, when I find a new person that I'm interested in their content, I can find their top 5, 10, 15 videos right off the bat that most people have liked more than any other video. And there may be good gems and stuff that come out frequently on the new content, but at least you know you can start off with the very best stuff. So in a world where we can be easily overwhelmed, you got to make sure to focus your time and prioritize. You probably have a to-do list like I do. It's never ending. I knock one thing off the list and 3 more replace it. However, I urge you to really take a look at that list, because if you've got 10 or 20 things on the list, chances are that a lot of those are not necessary and a lot of them are probably mostly a waste of time. If you were to pick just 1 or 2 of those top things to do that are most important today, what would they be? Do that thing, do those 2 top goals every single day, and you're going to be finding out that when you knock 1 or 2 of your biggest goals off the list, a lot of the little ones fall off with it or don't even have to get done. For example, let's say you're trying to save a couple little things, cancel this subscription to save $5 a month, cancel that, return this, all to save 20 or 30 bucks a month. But number one goal is to get another real estate deal or another commission deal if you're in a sales job. If you're able to get that one deal by focusing your effort, your time, your energy on that thing, that income that you generate, the commission you generate, will more than outweigh what it's worth for you to spend 20 minutes to save $5 or get $1 back at the store and waste your time. Time is money. Focus on the Pareto Principle, understand it, believe it, practice it, and know that 20% of what you do results in 80% of the actions. So that's my key takeaways for today, is to know that 20% accounts for the 80%. Remember that 80-20 rule, Pareto principle. This is true across everything. And sometimes the percentages vary. It may not be 80-20 all the time. It could be 90-10, it could be 70-30, but 80-20 is a good rule of thumb to use whenever you're considering, am I spending too much time on the wrong things? Daily motivation. This is a cool quote that I remember reading in The One Thing by Gary Keller. Be like a postage stamp. Stick to one thing until you get there. Josh Billings. And this is so key, because focusing on 5, 6, 7 things, it's very easy to get that squirrel brain and have that ADD, right? I'm looking here, I'm looking there, I'm grabbing this book, I'm trying to read something else. YouTube video, somebody texts me, I try to get back to them. It's really easy to get overwhelmed and distracted. So really set times for yourself, stay focused on the task at hand, and dedicate your time to finishing the top priorities one by one. and you're going to find yourself knocking through that to-do list at a speed you've never done before. Actionable steps. Look at your to-do list today. If you've got a calendar, a to-do list, a planner, and you just have millions of things that seem like you're never going to finish, go and find the top one, two, three, a few of the top goals and circle them, prioritize them, maybe even number them in order of importance from the most important to the least important. A lot of the least importance, reevaluate those. Do you really need them? Can you get rid of them? And then look at the most importance. Sometimes these are the hardest, they take the longest, we don't want to do them. They may include prospecting activities, cold calling, things that make us uncomfortable, but they are most important out of the whole list of things to do. So look at those, count to three, and get started on those top goals. That's all I have for you today. Thanks so much for checking out the Entrepreneur Motivation Podcast. I urge you to go head over to chrisbello.com/resources if you want to get access to some of the cool tools and software that I recommend. There's some free trials in there as well. And if you're looking for some books to read, I do have a bunch behind me on the bookshelf. I'm starting to invest more heavily in physical books because I love to be able to highlight them, pick them off the shelf, refer to them when I have questions, versus knowing that I read or I heard a good book on Audible and not knowing where exactly it was. I can't quickly go back to that time or the chapter to reference that material like you can with a book. So chrisbello.com/books, and you can go find a bunch of good books over there. Make sure to connect with me if you haven't already on Instagram, chrisbello09. I've responded to several DMs. If you reach out to me, I'll try to get back to you in a timely manner. That and leaving a comment on my YouTube videos is going to be the fastest way to get a response from me versus submitting a form on my website or trying to send me an email. My inbox is just swamped. I'm so grateful that there's so many people reaching out, interested in being guests on the show or having someone they know be guests on the show. But if you are really have a question you want to ask, you want to get some feedback on something that is particular to you, please shoot me a DM or reach out to me directly so that I can try to answer that as best as I can for you. With that being said, you all have a great week. I am off to do a bunch of real estate trading. Within 2 weeks of getting my license, I got a listing agreement from previous marketing when I was in the investment side. So I've got a house right now that I'm working with some investors trying to get an offer on, and I'm hitting the ground running on the real estate agent front while continuing some conversations and marketing for the investment side as well. If you got any ideas for things you want to hear on future episodes, please let me know. Sometimes I run out of ideas and I have to Google and find other people's top topics to get inspiration on what to talk about. So just let me know if you've got a burning desire that you want me to speak on, and I'll be happy to create some content around it. Talk to you all in the next episode, and have a great week. Yeah.